Okay, today we're going to start into chapter 5, which talks about the relationships and the teen years, all right? And the first thing we're going to look at is lesson 1. It's called Friendships During Adolescence, okay? As you're going to figure out, or I've already started to figure out, is that things start to change during adolescence a lot, obviously, and the friendships are no different, all right? And when we talk about friendship during adolescence, we're talking about what your relationships are with people. And relationships are the connections you have with other people and groups in your life, okay? And this can be on the individual basis. It can be what's your relationship to the student council, to the FCCLA, to a sports group. Whatever it is, those are the different friend relationships we were talking about, both, like I said, individually and in group settings. A lot of changes start to happen with these friendships during adolescence. And one of the biggest changes is that you actually look for more meaning and qualities in your friends at this stage of your life. Okay? We really do start to evaluate more and more what we find good in people and not so good in people. Two of the biggest things people often start to look for during their teenage years is the qualities of loyalty and trust. Can they trust that person to maybe let them say stuff to them and know that they're not going to go blurting it around to everyone else? Do they have their loyalty? Are they gonna stick together through thick and thin? All right, and a lot of these qualities, most teenagers that really start looking for at this stage of their life. Another thing that starts to happen with these friendships is we start to see what we call a transition period, all right? A transition period means that you're going to gain new friends that you probably never thought you were going to be friends with, and you're going to lose some friends that you've been friends with from a very young age. As you get older, typically your friendship groups get smaller, right? And I can attest to this from my personal life, my own, what I've dealt with. I had friends I was friends with since kindergarten all the way through 3, 4, 5 years of college. Then we all kind of went off in our own directions, and since then we haven't really talked or spoken to each other since. That's normal. That happens. That's where, you still, you'll still talk to them, you'll still say hi to them, see how they're doing. But at the same time, life takes people different directions and different values come into play. And it's hard as a teenager when these things start to happen because you feel like you're betraying or distrusting someone when you maybe leave them behind. The reality is you just have to move on. I mean, it's a hard thing to do, but when that friendship is no longer a friendship, you have to move on. It's in your best interest and their best interest. Now let's look at some of the qualities we look for in friendships. There are several of them. The first one I'm talking about is trustworthiness. Trustworthiness is very important, like I've already kind of mentioned, is that you got to be able to trust the people you're around. You got to trust that they're not going to go blabbing off things you say to them. They're going to be there for you when you need them to be, when you're maybe dealing with something difficult in your life. You can trust the fact that you can confide in them in things that you maybe just need to get off of you. I know, as a teenager, I would often at least talk to people just to get rid of the steam that was built up inside of me when people made me angry about things. And that was one of the best things about friendship at that age is that if you trusted someone, they could say it to them and they wouldn't worry about you. Going from there, you got to talk about sympathetic is a good quality in friendships. You need to have someone that is willing to be aware of how you are feeling at any given moment in time. All right, person that's sympathetic will know that if you're having a rough day, maybe just need someone to have a smiling face for them. They'll also know if you're having a good day, and maybe vice versa, is that friend is sympathetic towards you, and you might not be having a bad day. It's either way, back and forth. But being sympathetic towards one another means that you can be there for each other no matter how high or low they may be. Caring speaks for itself. You want friends that are caring because, like you want people that are going to be able to help you through things. I know a lot of some of you guys are probably listening to this right now going, okay, these are things I don't look for in my friends. Oh, believe me, you do more than you realize. You hope that, if I'll use a sports analogy here, but it fits really well, is that you hope your teammates care enough to put the effort into what they're doing. You hope that they're trustworthy enough they're going to do the job they're asked to do. You hope that they're sympathetic enough that they're going to help you get through if you make a mistake in a game, or heaven forbid you help be the part of the cause of why something does or does not work. You must be willing to show each other respect. Respect is probably one of the biggest things that you must build your friendship off of. You got to respect the limits and bounds of your friends, all right? If you can't, you should not expect your friend to ask you to do something they know you would not want to do. Flip side of that is you don't ask your friend to do something you know they would not do. Well, and within certain dialects or certain ways, you got to make sure that if you do ask them to do something outside the comfort zone, make sure it's something safe for them to do. But you must have respect if they respectfully decline. This is probably the biggest one, the most important one is forgiveness. You must be willing to forgive your friends. Your friends are going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. You need to be forgiving of each other. That is life. You may say something to a friend and they accidentally slip it out to someone, and next thing you know, you feel like you're about 1/4 of an inch tall. You know how that got out because you only told one person, and that one person accidentally slipped it to somebody else. You've got to realize that. But at the same time, you got to make sure that, you got to talk to that person and make sure that, did this happen on accident or did this happen on purpose? And if you figure out it was on accident, you got to forgive people. People make mistakes, all right? And before you know it, shoe might be on the other foot. You might slip something out, and you'll be asking for forgiveness too. It's a two-way street, but forgiveness is a very important quality in friends. Now, let's talk about making friends. Some of you are probably going, Mr. Nelson, I already have a lot of friends. Yes, you do. But we all never know where in life it's going to take us. Some of you will be done now in 4 or 5 years from this school, and guess what? You'll go to college where you don't know a single person. Well, next thing you know, you have to start making friends again. So just like anything else, just some general rules, and this is just anything in life. First rule is pretty simple. Be yourself. Do not pretend to be something else. Oftentimes people that pretend to be something else end up being fakes and phonies, as I call them. They're the ones that are found out right away, and people typically do not like being around them. Once they figure out they're fake and phony, they don't trust what they're going to say. And in all intents and purposes, that people don't want to be friends with them because they're not who they say they are. If you want to make new friends, you must be willing to join new groups and clubs. The book gives some pretty good examples on this. You might want to participate in an intramural sport in college. You may want to join a local volunteer group. Whatever it may be, you can do those things to help build new friendships. Now, let's talk about some of those relationships within our friends. Cliques are a popular thing that are going to happen in school, and I can actually tell you right now who some of your cliques are. A clique is nothing more than a group of friends who hang out together and act in similar ways. Okay, by that definition alone, cliques aren't bad, and cliques are not bad if they are done in certain ways. Oftentimes, cliques are not, though. Like I said, they can be good or bad. But they can often lead to peer pressure. Peer pressure obviously can be a good thing, can be a bad thing as well. They influence people to go along with beliefs and actions of other people your age. Positive effect is encourage and support healthy behaviors. They may encourage you to try something new. Maybe they encourage you to try out for a sports team, or apply for a job, or maybe do an activity you wouldn't normally do. Just maybe gets you to get outside of your comfort zone a little bit, but yet it's a positive thing to do. The negative effects are obvious, pretty substantial. Peer pressure has been known to make kids do things that they wouldn't normally do. Maybe it is jump a motorbike over a distance that isn't safe. Dating relationships and peer pressure that comes with that are often had negative impacts on people. Even simple things like maybe telling a person they need to do their hair a different way has a very negative impact, because now that person feels like what they're doing is not good enough. Just little things like that. Dating. Dating becomes popular during the teenage years. It is normal to start showing feelings and interests for others, all right? Like it says, one day, the book said it really well, one day your person across the street for you for umpteen years. All of a sudden you notice that you can't take your eyes off of them. You start having feelings towards them. This is normal at this age. Or the better example it gives is that your older brother's friend comes by who you could really care less about. All of a sudden you figure out that you're trying to make yourself look better to see them. And I've seen people do that before, so that's why I kind of chuckle when I read that. There's no timeline for when people will want to start dating. Some people will do it in their teenage years, others will wait till they're in their 20s. I happened to start dating my wife when I was 15, and we've been together ever since. There's no timeline for anyone. If you do decide to start dating in more of a group setting. Go to the movie with your friends. Go do activities with your friends. And this is a good way to do it. It takes a lot of pressure off of you, all right? It takes a lot of pressure off the other person. This way, if things go well, yes, things are going to go well. You'll joke and laugh and they'll have a good time. If things don't go well, you can still joke and laugh and have a good time and figure out maybe this isn't for you. Either way, it makes it so it's much more of an easy situation. Individual dating. You're ready for individual dating when you're ready to get to know a person better, okay? When I say get to know a person, it means that you actually want to get more of a one-on-one situation where you can actually maybe ask questions and find out about the person more. Hopefully they're willing to open up to you a little bit more. And oftentimes this has to do with what their interests are, maybe even what some of their life goals are. No offense, but if you were interested in this person and you find out in 3 years they have to move to California because that's where they want to go to school, and you know you're going to school somewhere in North Dakota, well, is this something that's probably going to work in the long term? Little things like that. And maybe you find out that you have different points of views on things and things that you feel very strongly about, and they feel completely opposite. And like I said, it's not that it won't work, but maybe at some certain point in time you go, this isn't going to work for either one of us. Maybe you can still be friends, but you just agree to be friends and nothing more. When you're ready to know someone better, it shouldn't come through peer pressure. Your friends shouldn't pressure you into doing something you don't want to do. I know of situations like this when I was in school. I know a young lady, or she was a classmate of mine, who flat out said she had her first, shall we say, relationship with a boy when she was 14 years old. And she was kind of pressured into it by her friends, and she really regretted ever doing that relationship in her lifetime. Make sure that whatever you choose to do in your relationship is your choice, no one else's. No one should force you into doing something you don't want to do. All right, folks. Oh, that's right. I forgot about the last line here. Yes, when you're individually dating, it should be all about the caring and respect factor. And if you respect yourself and respect your date, you should make sure that whatever you guys do, you do mutually. It is not anything you feel forced into. It should be done with caring in mind. When you go on dates, you probably want to make sure you go to public places. You don't want to be secluded from people. This way people don't talk. They make sure that things are done right. All right. That's lesson 1 of chapter 15 or chapter 5. Have a good day.